Welcome to the Too Much to Say podcast, where we have too much to say. Episode 21, How to Fix America, Part 3. If you missed the earlier episodes, there is Part 1 and Part 2. You make sure to check those out as well. We break down different pieces of what we can do after Trump to get America back on track. But we are live on twitch.tv/2m2s. So if you're joining us up in the stream, I want to welcome you out. If you're catching us on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I want to say welcome to you as well. But be sure to join us on Twitch if you prefer the live experience. We always do basically a question and answers after the stream, after the pod. So, but welcome. Let's go ahead and hop into the weekly random. It's been a juicy today, to be honest. Today it's been a juicy day. Today the trial for Paul Manafort, Trump's former campaign manager, ended with him being found guilty of 8 charges. He was convicted of 5 counts of tax fraud, 2 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of failure to disclose a foreign bank account. That's right, he's now a convicted felon for bank fraud, trying to convince banks. I think it was about $30 million he was trying to defraud them of while hiding his foreign assets. There were 10 charges that were not decided on. He was not the jury was unable to determine a verdict, and the judge declared mistrial. Now, if the prosecution so chooses, they can retry him on these 10 charges. I would imagine it would depend on how much, like whether or not it was a close call. I mean, if it was, 10-4, 1 against, they'll probably retry. We'll see. The prosecutors usually have a way of figuring that out. So, the other Trump cohort to go down today was Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer / fixer, pled guilty to 8 federal charges and admitted that he worked to influence the 2016 election. He admitted in court today that he arranged payments to 2 women at Trump's behest to secure their silence about affairs they said they had with him. So he pled guilty to 5 counts of tax evasion, 1 count of making false statements to a financial institution, 1 count of willfully causing an unlawful corporate contribution, 1 count of making an excessive campaign contribution at the request of a candidate or campaign. So he was possibly going to be on the hook for 65 years. He made the plea deal for 5 years and 3 months. However, like I said, he also basically called Trump out and said that he made those payments at Trump's request. And this is what Mr. Cohen's lawyer had to say about it. Today, he stood up and testified under oath that Donald Trump directed him to commit a crime by making payments to 2 women for the principal purpose of influencing an election. If those payments were a crime for Michael Cohen, then why wouldn't they be a crime for Donald Trump? This is Michael Cohen's lawyer. This isn't over. This isn't over. If Trump thought, I mean, and then of course Trump comes out and says, none of this affects me. Well, it's coming, buddy. It's coming. And that's excellent. All right, so let's move outside the U.S. The UN, this is the Japan Times reporting, the UN says it has credible reports that China is holding 1 million Uyghurs in secret camps. So, Uyghur, I'm not actually sure how to pronounce that, but basically they're a group of Muslims that the Chinese are now holding in something that resembles a massive internment camp. As described by people who visitors, as a place with no rights. I mean, we're not out of the thick of it yet. The world is not fixed yet. We have a long way to go, and China has many issues that still need to be addressed. They are getting better, generally through capitalism, but this is deplorable. Donald Trump put children in internment camps, and they're putting, they have 1 million Muslims in internment camps. The fact that it's 2018 and we're going through this again is just abominable. The fact that at least this is China and not the U.S., so we've got that going for us. But I mean, we obviously weren't that much better when we put Mexican children in internment camps and took them away from their parents and then deported their parents, and there's still 500 of them. I think it's 562 actually that still don't have. I still haven't been, reunited with their parents. That's in the United States. It's absolutely just horrible. I be honest, I haven't ever since this report I haven't heard any further news. Hopefully we can hopefully some progress will be made in the near future. I mean, China's in a very weird and odd position as basically the number 2 world power, and in some ways the number 1 world power, especially with the way Donald Trump is running America. China has the most people, the largest population in the entire world, and a massive budding economy, and they're only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But with that comes lots of growing pains and lots of obstacles. Adjusting to the world stage and adjusting to human rights and trying to manage over 1 billion people in your population. It's not easy, but that being said, this is unacceptable. All right. On a positive note, for the second largest country in the world, which is India, India is introducing free healthcare for 500 million people. If you weren't catching that, that's free healthcare for more people than live in the United States. The United States population is 300 million. They're offering free healthcare for 500 million. Now, it's not extensive. It's up to $7,100 per year, but in India, the annual per capita income or annual income per person is $1,900. That is a substantial amount of money in India. And now India has free healthcare, and the United States still doesn't. It's 2018. India has free healthcare and we don't. That's amazing. That's amazing to me. Just and Republicans are fine with it, which makes it even better. Makes it even better. All right, let's hop into the Reddit shower thought of the week. This comes from user Starry Serenade. They put music from the 50s and 60s in medicine commercials to appeal to the older generation, meaning sometime in the future, Despacito will be playing on a commercial for laxatives. Despacito is Spanish for slowly. There are all sorts of medicines that will be commercials that will be awesome with the song with Despacito in them. Just awesome. I'm excited. Just another note that I wanted to cover before we hop into our part 3 of How to Fix America is that I was watching the Trump rally in West Virginia today, and that shit's just crazy. I honestly don't know how anyone. What's the best way to put this? I don't get how like a logical, free-thinking adult could listen to him talk for more than 20, 10, 5, 5 we'll say 5 minutes without cringing. But like it took me 15 minutes. I was just like, I just can't do this anymore. I mean, I get it for like professional journalists, and there's a reason they all come away from these things and just are like writing all these negative things about Trump. It's not just because they disagree with his policy. It's also because the man's insane and quite frankly kind of dumb. The stuff that comes out of his mouth is just astonishing sometimes. So yeah, that was horrible. Not to mention he just gets up there and lies, and his supporters just eat it up. He keeps spouting all this nonsense about NATO spending more money. Now that he threatened to cut him off, it's not even true. Anyway, let's hop into the main event. So, in part 1 and part 2, we covered, part 1 was mainly about hookers and blow and how they could fix America. I mean, I say that jokingly, but it's kind of true. And that's why you should go listen to part 1. It's because you can learn how hookers and blow can help fix America. Or hookers and drugs, depending on how you want to look at it. And then in part 2, it was a little less, I guess, fantastic. Not fan, but I mean a little less spicy. And we went on healthcare, education, and we hopped a little bit into the economy and that sort of thing as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, tonight we are going to be covering the environment, foreign policy, military, and everyone's favorite topic, abortion. So let's start off with one I think most of us can agree on. Let's hop into the environment. Because under Trump, the EPA has been constantly under attack. He put in Scott Pruitt, who's prior to being part of the EPA had multiple lawsuits out against the EPA, trying to ruin it. And since joining, he has subsequently done basically that. So, going forward, we would have a stronger EPA. But I mean, kind of the guidelines is, and this is what I really don't understand, is the reversion to coal. Because the wave of the future is alternative energies, solar, nuclear. We should be pumping money into solar and wind and all these alternative energies through grants and subsidies. Like this isn't alternative energy isn't just about saving the planet. It's a job growth sector. It is a lot cheaper to just collect sunlight than it is to dig up coal from the ground. Coal isn't even economically viable anymore. And yet Trump is out there just trumpeting about, clean coal, which is complete bullshit. But he's just regressing our economy. And we could be the leaders of the world when it comes to alternative energy, but instead it's going to be China. Why would we give that up? That's nonsense. I mean, I know that's Trump's MO is nonsense, but we would stop that. We would stop that. So that's number one. Focus on alternative energies. Number two, and this would not just be us, but this would be a collective thing for, I think a world, especially Asia, but we need to clean up the Pacific Ocean. We need to clean up the oceans, but the Pacific Ocean has a massive trash island. Let's see. The Pacific Trash Island. It has grown to 600,000 square miles. That's twice the size of Texas, as reported by USA Today. I know we can't see it. Like I know I don't walk out every morning or drive down the road every morning and just see trash. But this is by no means like a secret. Everybody knows there's a trash island in the Pacific. Why are we not doing more to fix it? Why is no one talking about it? The Pacific is it's the largest ocean in the world. The oceans are one of the big things that make this world just even exist and breathe and live. I just don't. I don't understand. It's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. We need to clean it up, and we need an international coalition to clean it up. But we need to be leading that. I don't understand. Oh, next one goes back to the. Now, goes back to the alternative energies. We need to have a carbon tax. Now, this is something that's been thrown around, and there's actually been studies on whether or not carbon taxes work. And according to tax policy, basically, they work if what you use that money for is good as well. Like if you use the money, like if you just took that money and funded, even if you put it towards the debt, that's not for the environment. So I think we should take that money, do a carbon tax, and fund carbon dioxide removal research. We're at the point where it's not just enough for us to stop putting carbon into the atmosphere, we also need to remove it. And there have been some exciting technologies coming out, but we need to pump money into the research and implementation of carbon dioxide removal from the atmosphere. And the best way to do that would be through a carbon tax. See, this is sort of an idea. I like one of the things I like the idea of taxing things to kind of counterbalance them. The idea of taxing prostitution, legalizing prostitution, and taxing it to overcome, human trafficking, sex trafficking. Go back to episode 1, or sorry, it was episode 16. Go back to episode 16 and listen to part 1. We also should be championing and encouraging electric cars. Now, this is something we were doing with Obama, but Trump let those subsidies lapse, those tax incentives lapse. We need to keep pushing. Even if that all that is more tax incentives, we need to encourage people not to have, gasoline burning cars. I mean, if I could get a tax incentive to buy, to replace the car I have now with an electric car of similar price, I would totally do it. We should also be encouraging lab-grown beef. One of the main sources of carbon dioxide and monoxide in the world is cows. It sounds ridiculous, but cows have a very large carbon footprint. A cow, on average, releases 70 to 120 kilograms of methane per year. And methane is roughly 23% worse than carbon dioxide, for its effect on the environment. So basically, cow farts, and I know, like I said, it sounds ridiculous, but that's per cow. And we have thousands upon thousands of cows. So I say thousands. I mean millions. We have millions upon millions of cows. According to the USDA, in 2011, there were roughly 30 million beef cows and 9 million dairy cows on January 1st, 2011. Each producing 70 to 120 kilograms of methane per year. So yeah, we should probably be encouraging people to research lab-grown beef. Subsidies, grants, anything to push. We need to bring our carbon footprint as a country down, increase carbon dioxide removal, we bring it down by lab-grown beef, through electric cars, through alternative energies, and then we also work on removing the carbon dioxide that's already in the atmosphere from the atmosphere. Now, people always say, well, we're not the worst in the world. People, this is America. We lead by example. We're the greatest country in the world. We need to act like it, not act like a child. But my younger brother got to do it, or my brother didn't. That's ridiculous. That's a horrible, horrible mentality. Your younger brother not having to do a chore isn't a good excuse for you not doing a chore. We lead by example. We would bring the Paris Accord back on, obviously. Anyway. Alright. So that's the environment. We are going wholesale back into alternative energies and fixing the environment. Number 2, let's go into Foreign policy. Now recently, our foreign policy has been spent berating our allies and worshiping our enemies. Well, that's definitely a no more for me. That's a no for me, dog. That America's job is to lead by an example of greatness. America is a great country. But what makes us great isn't the color of our skin. It isn't the size of our businesses. It's because of the ideals we champion. It's the ideals that we espouse. The ideals that we represent. America was essentially built around human rights. The idea that taxation without representation was a human rights issue. It was a lack of representation within the government. Now, it took us a while to catch up and to, abolish slavery and to give women suffrage and even to give for voting rights for black people as well and people of color. No more of America being behind on human rights. It is time that we champion them. We need to lead the world again. And this extends beyond just how we treat our own citizens, but the example we show to the world. Too often have we gone towards war to solve our issues. Not enough have we gone through diplomacy. We need to be this. We can make this world safer than it currently is. We can through peace and diplomacy, through the UN, through NATO, through our allies. Trump is actively, seemingly, he seems to be actively tearing apart our alliances. Our alliances with England, France, Canada, Mexico, Germany, all these people who should be on our side. We are safer together. The world doesn't disappear because we want to close our eyes. We're not two. We don't believe that. We know better. And so we need to retighten those alliances. We need to lead again by example, to not bow to dictators like Putin and Kim Jong-un. Trump's lauding of Kim Jong-un is one of the most baffling speeches of this modern era. The fact that the fact that Republicans didn't just blackball him immediately for saying he wished, Kim Jong-un's people stand at attention when he walks in the room. I wish my people did that. Kim Jong-un's a fascist. He's a dictator who infringes all of the human rights of his own people. There is nothing positive to say about someone like that. Now, that's not to say we don't need to move people along with baby steps. We do. And I think that South Korea is doing a really good job. But we're not trying to be best friends with Russia or North Korea. We need to be best friends with France and England and Germany and Canada. America needs to lead by example once more, through diplomacy, through alliances. The UN is weak sometimes. We can make them stronger. The UN can be the future if we make it the future. Our policy should be safety through diplomacy, because we are only truly safe when we're at peace. When we're at war, our sons and daughters are out there with guns getting shot at and shooting at people. We're losing the soldiers that protect us. That's not to say that that we won't be strong, that we won't have a strong military, and that we, if necessary, wouldn't use force. It's just to say that that is the last resort, that diplomacy is the number one goal. All right, number 3, the military. Now, I've talked about it in the past. I think that we need to push more towards NATO and the UN adjudicating conflicts. We also need to push towards global nuclear disarmament. Denuclearization. We don't need the world. Yeah, this is the ironic thing is that, Republicans are hell-bent on people, the Second Amendment, and everyone needs guns, as many guns as they can have. But at the same time, like, they don't understand, do they not understand if we could actually, if the world could have no guns, it'd be a great world. Now, that's not possible. But if the world could have no nukes, which actually is a possibility, because there are not, relative to guns, there's not that many nukes, the world would be a safer place. And I'm not actually saying complete denuclearization, but we need to bring the numbers down. It would be a really nice world if people pressing buttons couldn't just end this world. Especially since we can elect people like Donald Trump to have control over the nuclear buttons, I guess. We should be decreasing the size of our military. Now, that size, I'm not throwing out a number. But like I said, we need to be pushing more towards the UN, more towards NATO. Trump constantly trumpets about us not, Europe not helping us. The UN and NATO is how those other countries can help us. Now, we fund a decent portion, but we're not funding all of it, and we're not putting our lives, American lives, in danger. I mean, even if we paid 50% of the UN, 50% is still less than 100%. And all of those troops aren't American. Yes, it means we would have to work together with someone. But that's where we're at in this world. The world, at the end of the day, is one big family. Working with people will get us a lot further than working alone. Oh, and transgenders should be allowed in the military. There's really no reason for us to discriminate against transgenders. I'm not sure how it matters whether or not someone's a sir or a miss on whether or not they can serve in the military. I'm more concerned about whether or not somebody can pick me up. If I was in the military and I, went down, I'd be more concerned about someone picking me up and carrying me. But I don't care what you call yourself. I don't, that doesn't bother me. I don't care if you're a man transitioning to a woman or a woman transitioning to a man. As long as you can do your job, that's This is a business relationship. This isn't a personal relationship. And I actually left this one off here, but since this is part 3, we're going to go into it right before we get into to everyone's favorite topic. But gun rights. We need more consistent gun laws. People say, "Oh, well, you're taking away my guns." When we're discussing like an assault rifle ban, you do realize there are guns that are already outlawed or require very, very special like background checks and that sort of thing. Why is it not okay that we have background checks before people are allowed to buy assault rifles? Why is it not okay for us to, have mental checks? Why are these things not okay? We're not talking about banning all guns, taking all guns. Nobody's even suggested that. Like I don't think that even the wildest liberal in America has said we need to just take away all guns. Maybe, but that's not what anyone in the mainstream is even saying. And that's how the Republicans have been painting the Democrats for ever. And honestly, I feel like the reason they do it is because that it's for the NRA. It's for the gun manufacturers. Because every single time the Republicans come out and say, "Oh, the Democrats are going to take your guns," instantly guns get bought up. That's just bonkers. Democrats aren't coming for your guns. Did Obama once try? No. However, we need consistent gun laws. It is more difficult to learn how to drive, to be able to drive, than it is to get a gun. Why is that the case? Cars are meant for transportation, guns are meant for death. I think it honestly would be okay if we had background checks, mental health checks, training courses, just to even own a gun. Not even speaking of, I mean, and guns should, like, oh no, registration of guns. People are coming for your guns. That's not what it's about. You have to register your car. People aren't coming for your car. It's the same thing. Nobody's coming for your guns. But we should be able to track where guns are going. Just like we do cars. When you sell it, that way it makes it a lot more difficult. I mean, not that there won't be a black market, but that the black market will be somewhat lessened. Because right now, people just buy, I mean, if I owned 20 guns, I could just sell them all to somebody. There wouldn't be, there'd be nothing, no one would even know it happened. Or anything. Anyway. Alright. Let's get into abortion. I want to talk about what it means to be an abortion moderate. Because I think that Democrats and a lot of Republicans can actually do agree about abortion. But the way that we come about it makes it a very black and white issue rather than a gray issue. Democrats, for a long time, abortion was illegal for a while until Roe versus Wade, and after that, it was still under fire. And so Democrats naturally, and everyone who was a proponent of abortion was very defensive, and there was abortion all the way, or you're against us. You're either with us or against us. There's no middle ground here. So people didn't feel like they could say, I support abortion. I don't really like it though. Isn't that how we all feel? that we like. I support abortion. I support a woman's right to choose. But at the same time, I don't love abortion. I don't think it's a great thing. I I mean, like, I don't think that it's not like an apple pie, and then apple pie is just wonderful all around. I mean, it's a medical procedure. It's like a tooth extraction, only much more traumatic and painful and awful. But yeah, anyway, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm ready to offend everyone. But before that, according to a global study, comprehensive global study performed over 2000 from 2010 to 2014 by the World Health Organization and the Guttmacher Institute. And this is I mean this is done in this procedure, but if you think about it, it's going to be logical too. Making abortions illegal does not stop abortions. This is worldwide, not just in America. Making abortions illegal does make them dangerous. So we don't stop by making it illegal. We don't stop abortions, but we do make it a lot more dangerous for the mother, for the woman. So I believe that I support a woman's right to choose. I think that abortion should be 100% legal. However, I would like to do everything in our power to provide her all the support she needs to make it so she doesn't have to make that choice. A woman shouldn't feel like she needs an abortion. And we should be doing everything we can to make it so she doesn't have to. So, how can we do that? Well, number one, comprehensive sex education. None of this abstinence only bullshit. That doesn't work. It makes no sense. Eventually, the person's going to want to have sex. We're driven as human beings to sex. It's part of our natural inclinations to reproduce and to spread our genes. That's how we work. Everyone deserves to understand their bodies, point blank. That is that simple. There's zero reason that we should be holding back information about people's bodies from them. That is some dystopian shit. That is deplorable. And in 2018, 100% unacceptable. To go along with that, contraception and birth control. Make it easily available. There's no reason it can't be part of birth. Christians, stop enforcing your beliefs on other people. How would you feel if Muslims were in charge? It's simple. You wouldn't like it if they enforced their beliefs on you. Contraception and birth control should be mandatory parts of healthcare. It doesn't make sense. Like, if your religion doesn't support birth control, like, it's probably not right. Like, why is it so bad for people to choose when they want to have a baby? That's something I do with my wife. I'm married, and if we don't, for the first few years of our marriage, we didn't want to have a baby. This is, 100% quote unquote moral sex. We're married, and now after we made the decision we wanted to have kids, we got off birth control. Abortions happen because people have unwanted pregnancies. And because people are scared. Why wouldn't we want to do everything we can to prevent unwanted pregnancies? So, That's number one. So we have comprehensive sex education, contraception, and birth control. Let's prevent as many unwanted pregnancies as possible. Now, what's the other reason somebody could not want a pregnancy? Probably because having a pregnancy would fuck them. Because they would not be able to support themselves. They would not be able to actually take care of the baby during the pregnancy or even after the pregnancy. Healthcare reform. I mean, it's something we talked about in the past. Women shouldn't fear for their lives when they get pregnant. Getting pregnant shouldn't be a death sentence. Shouldn't put you significantly behind. Like I said, the goal is to prevent as many abortions as possible. So let's help take care of the women during their pregnancies. And let's help take care of them after their pregnancy as well. Because to be honest, I know people want to prevent abortions and protect fetuses and unborn children. We need to be taking care of born children as well. So healthcare, and then once the baby's born, free daycare. Right now, if you're let's say you're a woman, you get pregnant on accident, and the man who gets you pregnant disappears from your life. You're a single mother or potential single mother. That's a death sentence. Not a death sentence, but a sentence to poverty. So, excuse me, not a death sentence. But it's essentially, if you have no support and you have a baby, it's a sentence to poverty. Because, especially happens early in your life, and you can't, and you're not educated yet, you don't have a college degree, and you can't get a job now because you have to take care of the baby. Free daycare allows these women the freedom to get a job, to take care of themselves, and the freedom to get an education, to provide a better life for herself and for her child in the future. Number 5, adoption reform. Now, we're not going to go fully into this now, but adoption rules need to be universal. It needs to be easier. Adoption doesn't need to be from state to state with a million different rules and a million different laws all over the country. It should be easy. Adoption needs to be more simple and easier. And it should be easier for us to find people who want to have these babies. Supporting abortion doesn't have to mean thinking that abortions are the greatest thing in the world. It can simply be supporting women's rights and their health. And as Democrats, or if you're not a Democrat, but if you're a Democrat, there are so many single issue voters, so many people who don't vote Democrat only because of abortion. Because abortion, people think we're just 100% in on abortion, that abortion's 100% okay. But if we can bring people to the table, show them that yes, abortions need to be legal, but we're going to do everything we can to prevent them, I think we can bring people along. We can overcome this moral superiority that Republicans act like they have. So, number 1, environment. Let's make it stronger. Number 2, foreign policy. It's time to get back to diplomacy. Number 3 was military. We get stronger with our allies, with NATO, with the UN. Number 4 was gun rights and gun control. Some gun reform, not taking all the guns away. And number 5 was being an abortion moderates. Let's help people in their lives. That's the goal. That should be the goal of our country, of our Human rights should be the number one thing. It should be our main goal, is human rights. Economic equality and human rights. They should be our message in foreign policy. They should be our message in domestic policy. Well, anyway, that is the end of How to Fix America Part 3. It is currently August 21st, 2018. We are coming up on the midterm elections. We need to find people who support these ideals, who support human rights, who support economic equality, who are pushing for for abortion rights, for stopping war. I mean, these are strong messages, and there's a lot we can. America is a great country, but we can be even better. You're either life and greatness. You're either going forward or backwards. There is no standing still. Anyway, that is all I have to say about that. If there's anything else you want me to cover, this was kind of the planned 3 parts to the How to Fix America. But if there's any other questions you have, just hit me up. You can hit me in my DMs on Twitter at RealSamShannon. You can just come here to Twitch on twitch.tv/2m2s. Just shoot me a comment. We usually run reruns most of the day. And I periodically actually check in on those, make sure they're running, make sure everything's going okay. Check comments. So just shoot me a comment on the Twitch channel. But I appreciate you listening. Wherever you're listening, please follow, like, subscribe. Please, spread the word. We need to take these 3, in my opinion, these 3 parts, or at least please listen to them, digest them. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you feel after these 3 parts of How to Fix America. What do you think we should do differently? I mean, really what this is about learning and growing together. That's what life is. That's what politics should be. Nothing is set in stone. We need to grow. But again, spread the word. Follow, like, subscribe. 5 stars on iTunes if you can. That would be greatly appreciated. And I hope you guys have a great week. I will be back on Saturday on twitch.tv/2m2s with our weekly sports. And then next Tuesday at 8:30 as well for the politics and culture. Make sure to check out, like I said, part 1 and part 2 in the past, but we've also done a deep dive into Hillary and everything that happened there. We've gone into what truth means, which is very important in this day and age. The constitute truth, the value of truth. Go back, check it all out. Really good stuff in our earlier episodes. And again, I appreciate your time, and have a great week. Peace.